Yeah, that's right, and it's hard to believe it's been 8 years already, and we're really excited to release week one of the Grid Ranking, which comes out on the first Sunday of April every single year. So we're kicking off the 2024 edition tonight for the first time since the final weekend of 2022, when Shane Van Gisbergen led Max Verstappen is not on top of the Grid Ranking. Jorge Martin from MotoGP is leading for the first time in his career, and also for the first time a MotoGP rider is leading week one. Martin is the second Spaniard to lead the Grid Ranking, and the first since Marc Marquez in 2019. MotoGP is going to Circuit of the Americas next weekend, a track he has yet to win at. So, Joe, does Martin's podium streak continue or end at Coda?
Oh man, for Martin, Circuits of America, I think he's going to have a really tough weekend because Marc Marquez, two-time grid ranking world champion, has been the king of Coda before. Now he's in a Ducati. I think he's going to be a big contender for the win. Jorge Martin, along with Marc Marquez, you also got to deal with the factory riders. Nea Bastianini is looking great after a dismal 2023 season. And of course, Pecco Bagnaia, don't count him out yet. So that's going to be a tight battle for the podium. And of course, there could be other surprises. Aprilia, they have been up there. Last year, we saw Alex Rins get the surprise win in a Honda. I think he's going to have a very tricky weekend to try to claim a podium spot. He is very capable of it. I don't see him making the kind of mistakes like in the past, Kobe, where he would be leading, lose the lead, crash out, or just leading and crash out. I think he's matured a lot since those years. But if he could get a podium finish, that'll be huge for him, especially if he wants to stay on top of the grid ranking.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be interesting to see how Jorge Martin does in the Lone Star State. MotoGP goes to the Circuit of the Americas. And I mentioned Marc Marquez. We used to call him the king of Coda. We'll see if Marc Marquez can get a victory on that Ducati bike. And now looking at Max Verstappen from Formula One, last year's grid ranking world champion, he's in fifth place, and he would have been the leader if he didn't retire in Australia. And since Formula One only has a 20-car field, a DNF lowers the score more than in a series like IndyCar, which has 27 cars in the field this year. However, looking at the grid ranking, as you can see, there are no IndyCar drivers yet. That's because IndyCar is not completed. 2 points race is required to be scored in the grid ranking. The Grand Prix of Long Beach is their next race, and then once that takes place, IndyCar will officially be in the grid ranking. Now we're going to bring Ben back on for this one. So Ben, do you sense that IndyCar's slow start allows the momentum and excitement of the new season to fade?
Yeah, I think so. What is it? I think 42 days between race 1 and 2 of the regular season with a Thermal Club All-Star $1 million, except not really challenge thrown in there if that's your cup of tea, which it didn't seem to be for too many people. Yeah, I think the enthusiasm's way down for IndyCar. The momentum's way down. The excitement is way down. And the schedule is only a small part of that, but it's a part of it nonetheless. I think, certainly you would want to be maybe not in the heart of your season by April 7th, but have more than one race under your belt if you're a series like IndyCar. I think that, it's, I mean, unless you're staggering the calendar so that you're starting it at the very end of March or the beginning of April, which I think is probably a little bit too late, you should definitely have enough races to be scored in our grid ranking at the very least. I think, having this much time off and the only filler for it being a very polarizing new event that didn't seem to win too many people over who were on the fence about it, I think IndyCar's in a really bad place when it comes to momentum and excitement at the moment.
Yeah, I feel I feel like IndyCar, they have taken the excitement of brand new season. We're at St. Pete. Joseph Newgarden, who won the Indy 500 last year, got to win. That excitement level has disappeared, I feel. If you're an IndyCar fan, you're more vested in watching, but even that, as Ben mentioned, it was very polarizing. So some folks, they didn't tune in to the Thermal Club race. Now we're just waiting till Long Beach shows up. This is not how you get people excited for the season. This is not how you get people excited for your series. Overall, I feel IndyCar really should be looking at, okay, how can we improve next year? Because at the end of the day, when you look at IndyCar to the other series, this is some of the best, most competitive racing out there compared to Formula One, other series. I mean, we talked about Alex Palou. quote, dominated, unquote, but he won less than 6 races. For IndyCar standards, that's huge considering it just seems like everyone has a good shot at winning. But at the end of the day, if people are not watching these races because they're not on the air, well, it's hard to build the excitement up and get fans to watch the series. So I really think IndyCar needs to reevaluate for 2025 how the season starts out and getting more fans watching the races at the stand in front of the screen, whether it's TV screen or computer monitor or your smartphone, tablet. But just getting more eyeballs on the sport is critical, I feel.
Yeah, and it just simply doesn't make any sense that we're going to go 42 days between their first points race and your next points race. I have a feeling if we really wanted to have an all-star race, looking at the dates of the IndyCar schedule, the $1 million challenge / all-star race should have happened on March 10th, and then St. Pete should have happened on March 24th, and then and then you go to Long Beach on April the 21st. And I know that's still about a month in between races, but at least it would cut it in half, and it would be a lot better than what we have now. I feel like if you're going to do an exhibition race, it should be either at the very beginning of the season, in the middle of the season, or even even after the championship races. I feel like that would be a better time to have those exhibition races. But when you have all these large gaps in the schedule like this, I really does feel like it kills off all the momentum and excitement for the new season. I'm not saying that IndyCar should be racing, every single weekend or every 2 weeks or something like that. But I really think that in the future that they really need to tighten up the schedule a little bit so we can see the IndyCar series racing more often throughout the year, rather than you have this little tease to start off the season in St. Pete, and then you have this long gap between St. Pete and Long Beach, and then just an exhibition race in between. So we'll have to wait and see what IndyCar does in 2025 moving forward. But I really feel like they need to adjust the schedule moving forward if they want to try to keep the excitement and the momentum going, because it's really hard to just stop for over a month and then try to start up again. And I know everybody's going to be excited for the month of May coming up. So that's when a lot of people are going to be talking about IndyCar a lot more often. And looking at the schedule for next race weekend, we have a Formula E doubleheader at Misano, MotoGP's at Coda, and NASCAR at Texas Motor Speedway. Formula E, 5 races, 5 different winners, and they're coming to a new track. The Misano circuit in Italy is a purpose-built road course, and many anticipate something similar to Portland. Formula E is not going to be using the full circuit. They're going to be using a modified layout with long straights. Ben, considering the comparison to Portland, do you anticipate Formula E having 7 different winners by the end of the next race weekend?
It's certainly possible. I'm going to say we get 1 new winner and 1 repeat winner. So I think we'll have 6 winners in 7 races. I think one of the drivers has won so far. We'll pick up a win in the first race, and we'll get a new winner in the second race. That's my prediction. But again, we could easily have it because of how unpredictable it sounds like this course is going to be. And it's getting comparisons to Portland. Certainly, I could definitely see it happening. But as for my prediction, I'll go with 6 and 7 instead of 7 different ones.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment there. I'm interested to see how these Formula E cars get along at the Misano circuit. And a lot of people are going to be missing Rome. They're running the Rome E-Prix, but I guess you can't go wrong with Misano. It'll be interesting to see how this race all plays out. In the 2024 grid ranking is officially underway, and we have many weeks to go before we end up crowning the 2024 grid ranking world champion. The same thing can be said for the 2024 Grid Endurance Performance Index, which was revealed a few days ago on Grid Tonight. 5 races are being scored in the EPI this weekend. Get the updated EPI standings for week 2 on Grid Tonight this Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon.